What if I told you that right now in March 2026, the United States military operation against Iran is already on track to cost American taxpayers $184 billion by the 1st of September, according to the Pentagon's own latest internal projection. And that breaks down to roughly $500 million every single day coming straight out of your pocket through higher gas prices, soaring grocery bills, and a national debt that will haunt your children for decades. Yeah, you heard that right. $184 billion, and the meter is spinning faster every hour as B-52 bombers pound targets across Iran. Patriot missiles, each one costing $4 million, knock down incoming threats, naval fleets burn fuel in the Persian Gulf, and the entire logistical and intelligence machine devours resources around the clock. If you think endless foreign conflicts are just background noise on cable news, or that your weekly fill-up at the pump, and your monthly grocery run have nothing to do with decisions made halfway around the world, then you are about to get the rude awakening you did not know you needed. Because today we are ripping open the verified cost breakdown, the sarcastic truth about how every new missile barrage adds tens of millions more to your personal bill, the documented ripple effects on oil markets, inflation, and everyday American life, and the way this expanding war with fresh strikes on Tehran and the Bahrain refinery hit is turning into one of the most expensive taxpayer-funded adventures in modern history. Stick with me until the very last word, because the timeline of how we got here, the daily burn rate, the real-world hits on your wallet, the political excuses and the hard numbers that prove this is already draining. Every household in the country will leave you equal parts outraged and wide awake. If you're tired of watching your money disappear into black hole conflicts, while rich people and politicians play global chess with your future, hit that subscribe button. Right now, turn on notifications so you never miss these deep dives. And drop a comment below telling me exactly how this war is already hitting your finances. Are you paying more at the pump, feeling the squeeze on groceries, or just sick of billion-dollar price tags being dropped on you without a vote? I read every single comment, and we are building this conversation together as a community that demands answers. Welcome to Money's Hidden Past. Rich people lied. We fact-checked. Let us start with the cold, hard math, because nothing exposes the game like actual figures from inside the Pentagon itself. The latest internal projection reported in early March 2026 puts the total price tag of this United States operation against Iran at $184 billion by September 1st of this year. That is not a rounding error. That is $500 million every single day being spent on massive airstrikes, B-52 long-range bombing runs, Patriot missile defenses, naval deployments in the Gulf, and the enormous logistical and intelligence backbone that keeps the whole machine running. Break it down further and you see why the number climbs so fast. Each B-52 sortie requires aerial refueling tankers that burn through hundreds of thousands of dollars in jet fuel per flight. Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from destroyers cost around $2 million apiece, and dozens have already flown. Patriot interceptors, the gold standard for knocking down Iranian drones, and ballistic missiles run $4 million each, and the United States has already fired dozens in the opening weeks alone to protect bases and allies. Naval carrier strike groups operating in the Persian Gulf cost $6.5 million per day in fuel maintenance and personnel. Add in the army of contractors, intelligence analysts, special operations teams, and supply chains stretching from the United States mainland to forward bases, and you understand why the daily tab is not some exaggeration, but the floor that rises with every escalation. The sarcastic punchline that should make every working American furious is that this $184 billion is not coming from some secret billionaire slush fund or printed out of thin air by a magic Federal Reserve machine. It is coming directly from you, the taxpayer, pulled from the same federal budget that funds roads, schools, healthcare, and Social Security. While politicians in Washington debate strategy and grand ideals, your tax dollars are literally fueling the planes, arming the missiles, and paying the contractors. And the bill does not stop at the headline number. This conflict is already driving up oil prices because even limited disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points, send shockwaves through global markets. Oil has spiked toward $80 a barrel in the first week of March, with analysts warning it could push past $120 if shipping lanes tighten further. That means higher gas prices for your daily commute, higher costs to transport food and goods across the country, and ultimately higher prices for everything from milk to bread to heating your home. Inflation, which was finally starting to cool, is getting a fresh jolt from these energy spikes. The national debt, already over $35 trillion, grows by the second, with interest payments alone now rivaling major domestic programs. And this $184 billion projection adds even more pressure, meaning future tax hikes or cuts to programs that affect your family. Let us walk through exactly what this money is buying on a day-to-day basis so you can see the scale with your own eyes. Massive airstrikes are the headline grabber. B-52 bombers flying from distant bases, each flight hour costs tens of thousands of dollars, and every mission requires tanker support that multiplies the expense. Precision-guided munitions are not cheap. Each new barrage against targets in Iran adds tens of millions to the running total. Missile defense is an even bigger money pit. Every Patriot interceptor fired to protect American troops or allied nations costs $4 million, and Iran has launched waves of cheap drones. And ballistic missiles forcing the United States to expend expensive interceptors at a wildly asymmetric rate. Naval deployments in the Gulf are another black hole. A single aircraft carrier strike group burns through millions daily in operations, and the United States currently has multiple carriers and supporting warships on station to enforce sanctions, interdict shipping, and Project Power. Logistical and intelligence costs are the silent killers. Supply chains move fuel, ammunition, and spare parts across oceans. Private contractors handle everything from meals to medical evacuation. And intelligence agencies run 24-hour operations to track Iranian movements. The Pentagon's own accountants are updating these projections weekly, and the $184 billion figure by September 1st assumes the current pace holds without major new escalations. If the conflict widens to include more direct naval clashes or prolonged support for allies, that number could easily top $200 billion before the year ends. The energetic reality check hits hardest when you connect these billions to your daily life. Every new United States strike on Tehran or Iranian military sites adds tens of millions more to your bill. Every Iranian retaliation, like the recent hit on the Bahrain refinery, sends oil markets into a frenzy, causing spot shortages and price spikes that show up in your next fill-up at the gas station. That refinery is a key facility, and even temporary shutdowns tighten global supply chains. Trucking companies pass on higher fuel costs through increased shipping rates that raise the price of everything on supermarket shelves. Airlines add fuel surcharges to ticket prices. Manufacturers raise prices on plastics and goods that rely on petroleum derivatives. Economists are already warning that a prolonged conflict could shave full percentage points off United States' gross domestic product while adding tens of billions to the federal deficit. The Pentagon is preparing a supplemental budget request of around $50 billion just to cover the first few months. And Congress will almost certainly approve it because nobody wants to be seen shortchanging the troops once the missiles are flying. But that approval means more borrowing, more interest payments, and more burden shifted onto ordinary citizens who had no direct say in starting the operation. This is not ancient history. The operation codenamed Epic Fury began in late February 2026 with coordinated United States and Israeli strikes targeting Iranian military capabilities, nuclear-related sites, and leadership targets. Within days, Iran and its proxies responded with waves of drones and missiles hitting American bases in Iraq, Kuwait, and Jordan, as well as energy infrastructure in Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The Bahrain refinery strike sent black smoke billowing into the sky, forcing temporary shutdowns that tightened oil supply. American forces answered with intensified airstrikes and naval interdictions, sinking Iranian vessels and degrading missile production facilities. Each escalation layer adds millions or tens of millions to the daily cost. Missile defense alone has become a financial black hole because shooting down cheap Iranian drones with expensive American interceptors creates an unsustainable cost imbalance that experts say could reach billions per month if the exchanges continue at this pace. The broader economic picture is sobering and personal. Higher oil prices act like a hidden tax on every household. A family driving 20,000 miles a year could see an extra $500 to $1,000 annually just at the pump if prices stay elevated. Grocery bills rise because food transportation relies on diesel. Utility rates climb because power plants and heating depend on energy markets. Inflation expectations tick upward. The Federal Reserve may keep interest rates higher for longer, and the squeeze hits hardest for middle class and working families already stretched thin. Meanwhile, the national debt climbs higher with every supplemental spending bill, and future generations inherit not only the financial tab, but the strategic consequences of another open-ended Middle East engagement. The sarcastic truth here is that while Washington debates grand strategy and long-term goals, the average citizen quietly subsidizes the entire enterprise through their tax returns and their weekly trip to the store. Critics across the political spectrum are already raising alarms about the open-ended nature of the spending. Some argue the mission to degrade Iranian capabilities could be achieved more cheaply through targeted sanctions and diplomacy, rather than full-scale military operations. Others point out that the United States has spent trillions in the region over the past 2 decades, with mixed results at best, and question whether another massive outlay will deliver lasting stability or just more debt. Yet the money keeps flowing because once the operation is underway, the momentum is difficult to stop. The Pentagon's cost trackers are updating figures weekly, and the $184 billion projection by September 1st is based on current intensity levels. Every new development pushes that number higher, and the American people are not spectators. They are the ones writing the checks, whether they realize it or not. From the first Tomahawk launches in late February to the ongoing B-52 missions, and Patriot intercepts, the United States has committed itself to a high-intensity campaign that is burning through resources at a breathtaking rate. The Pentagon's internal math is clear $184 billion by September 1st, and every fresh strike or retaliation adds tens of millions more. Oil markets are reacting, inflation is stirring, and the national debt grows heavier by the hour. This is not abstract foreign policy. It is a direct line item on your personal budget, affecting the cost of filling your tank, driving to work, feeding your family, and planning for retirement. The war is already costing you, and unless the trajectory changes dramatically, it will keep costing you more with every passing day. The lesson here is simple and brutal. When billion-dollar decisions are made in Washington, the bill always lands on your doorstep. Rich people and powerful interests may profit from conflict through defense contracts, oil price spikes, or geopolitical leverage, but the average taxpayer pays the true price in higher daily expenses and a heavier national debt. The $184 billion projection is not some distant number. It is your money at work, and the question every citizen should be asking is whether the strategic gains justify the financial hemorrhage that is already hitting your wallet today. If this deep dive into how the Iran war is already costing American taxpayers $184 billion by September 1st, and the way it is driving up your gas prices, groceries, and future taxes fired you up about demanding real accountability from every single dollar spent, then do me a favor right now. Smash that like button to let the algorithm know this conversation matters. Share this video with every friend and family member who needs to understand where their hard-earned money is really going, and let us keep exposing what they do not want you to see. I will catch you in the next one, where we break down the next major development in this unfolding situation. Until then, stay informed, stay skeptical, and remember that in the end, it is always your money they are spending.